From the Opupco Studios in Oklahoma City, this is an OSU Update with Gina Mizell. I'm Jenny Carlson. Gina, we're less than a month from the start of spring practice, March 11th. It kicks off for the Cowboys. What do the Cowboys need to have happen between now and the start of March? What's sort of at the top of the priority list?
I think just all these new coaches getting acclimated to being in Stillwater. Even a guy like Joe Bob Clements, who's technically been hired for about a month, he spent most of those first few weeks on the road recruiting and had actually spent more time on the road than in Stillwater. He's probably spent the most time on the OSU campus in Stillwater the last week or so than he had, the whole previous time when he was hired. So, I mean, it's like you got two new coordinators with Mike Yursich, Glenn Spencer obviously being promoted. You have a new receivers coach in Jason Ray. And so these guys kind of just getting used to each other, getting used to their players, meeting their players and all that stuff. That kind of just goes into then, starting spring ball with all the new turnover.
Well, with the start of spring, do we have some early storylines, 2 or 3 that are top of the list that we'll be looking at, and especially in light of all these changes that have happened?
I'm sure you're shocked, but I'm going to say quarterback is the biggest storyline, obviously, going into the spring. Clint Shelf is going to start as the number 1 guy. He'll lead the first team drills on that first day, but obviously with the way that J.W. Walsh played, the way that Wes Lunt played, and with a new coordinator, it's still going to be a competition. It's still going to be a battle just based on how well all 3 of those guys really performed during the season. And a couple other storylines, obviously they got to replace both defensive ends. They got to find a new kicker and punter. So I would say those are kind of the positions I guess I'll be watching heading into spring. But of course, quarterback is at the top of the list, and having a new offensive coordinator, a new set of eyeballs to look at all 3 of these guys, that kind of adds a different sort of wrinkle to all of it.
Definitely. Thanks, Gina. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.